Happy Daily Gospel to all of you. Today's reading is from the Holy Gospel according to St. John, chapter 5, verses 1 to 16. There was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Near the sheep gate in Jerusalem there is a pool, called Bethesda in Hebrew, with 5 porticos. Under these lay a multitude of sick people, blind, lame, and paralyzed, waiting for the movement of the water. There was a man who had been ill for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew how long he had been suffering, he asked him, "Do you want to be healed?" The man answered, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I am going, someone else gets there before me." Jesus said to him, "Rise, take up your mat, and walk." Immediately, the man was healed. He took up his mat and walked. Now that day was a Sabbath. So the Jews said to the man who had been healed, "It is the Sabbath, and it is not lawful for you to carry your mat." But he answered, "The man who healed me said, 'Take up your mat and walk.'" They asked, "Who is the man who told you this?" But the man did not know, for Jesus had slipped away into the crowd. Later, Jesus found him in the temple and said, "Now you are well again. Do not sin any more, so that nothing worse may happen to you." The man went and told the Jews it was Jesus who had healed him. Because of this, they began to persecute Jesus, because he was doing these things on the Sabbath. Reflection by St. Maximus of Turin. St. Maximus, bishop and preacher of the early church, sees the healing at the pool of Bethesda as a powerful symbol of Lenten renewal and baptismal grace. He writes, "In the time of Noah, the flood lasted 40 days, washing away sin and preserving righteousness. It was not merely a deluge, it was a cleansing, a baptism. So too, Maximus teaches, Lent is our spiritual flood. These 40 days are an outpouring of divine mercy, meant to drown sin and raise us to new life. Just as Jesus told the paralyzed man, 'Rise, take up your mat, and walk,' Christ calls each of us this Lent to stand up from our paralysis, to leave behind spiritual stagnation and walk forward in grace. Anyone who lives Lent with devotion, Maximus says, experiences within himself a death to sin and a resurrection to righteousness. May this sacred season be our Bethesda. Let us not wait for another to lift us. Christ himself stands ready to heal.